Well, violence in our society, sadly, it's becoming more commonplace. Road rage, terror attacks, domestic violence, they're nasty incidents often witnessed by our children. So what does it do to them both short and long term? Let's check in with our parenting expert, Claire Orange now. Hi there, Claire.
Afternoon, Emmy.
Now, what happens when a child witnesses an act of violence or rage? And I'm thinking of the example of the road rage incident in Melbourne, which we saw on the news yesterday.
Yeah, well, it can have a significant impact. I mean, obviously that's one that's happened on screen, but that's not to say that children aren't witnessing these things in real time as well. And it certainly does have a big impact. You know, children are building up their templates about how to deal with life when things don't go their way. And when they're seeing people respond in very violent ways, it can be part of the way they code life as well.
Now, does exposure to violence change the way a child thinks or behaves? You talk about them coding their, I guess, the way that they act in life. Does it affect them at different ages?
Yeah, of course, of course. So, you know, in those very first years of life when children are learning about empathy, about how to deal with other people, forming relationships, when they're exposed to these acts of violence, and it might be that they're seeing it in the home or in their playground, that can become the way they look at life, and it does change a child's thinking, and it does change the way a child behaves. And it's not uncommon to see children behave in the same ways that they see people around them behaving.
And does that change it, you know, obviously when they're a bit older in terms of if they are then exposed later?
Of course, and you know, with our older children, of course, seeing violence online in their gaming world, they can become desensitised to it. So the actual horror and impact of that violence on other people can start to not mean as much to them. Yeah, over a lifetime it does change.
Yeah, what does it mean for their adult mental health later on?
Right, so there's a strong and significant correlation between children who witness these acts of violence, and for some it could just be that one on-screen violence that they witness that gives them a trauma-like response, and for other children it's the build-up over their childhood years. It does correlate to higher levels of anxiety and depression in adulthood, and changes in conduct disorder in our adults as well.
We obviously can't cocoon our children, but what, as parents, can we do?
Right, so I think it's on us as parents to really look at our responses to life. You know, there's things that happen in life, big and little things that happen, and when we respond to them in ways that include rage or significant anger or violence, our children are watching that and they will replicate that behaviour in the playground. So if you're one of those adults who struggles with your temper, know that your child is laying that down as their way of dealing with life as well. So find ways to, you know, engage in healthy breathing patterns, remove yourself from the trigger, know when it's going to happen, and of course, find help. You know, we as adults, if you know you have a problem, find help, because it will impact your children over their lifetime.
It's certainly brave to speak out. Okay, Claire, thanks for coming in this afternoon.
Thanks, Emmy.